there are golf courses. Then there are golf courses that make you ask, is it really worth $263 for one round? I mean, that's the current peak season Friday rate here at Sagebrush. And when there are dozens of closer courses for half the price, why would you drive all the way out here just to play this one? Well, the views are all right. The greens, yeah, they roll pretty decent. The fairways, nothing too crazy, just carved out of the hillside and freaking perfect. The conditioning, I mean, it's okay if you're into perfectly manicured grass that feels like hitting off velvet. And the pace of play? Well, when they only let out a handful of groups per day, it's basically your private golf course. But hey, if you prefer waiting behind a fivesome of hacks at your local muni, that's cool too. Sagebrush isn't just a round of golf. It's a retreat. An intentional retreat. It's one of those rare days where it's just you, the golf course, and the swing that you brought with you. For better or worse. So is it worth the drive and the $263 price tag? Well, stick around. I'm going to show you some holes, the highs, the lows, if I can find any. And whether Sagebrush is just pure golf or pure bank account regret. Sure, Sagebrush might be out in the middle of nowhere. Well, actually, it's just a few minutes from Merritt, British Columbia, but it feels like it's out in the middle of nowhere because it's in farmland, and it's like, what on earth is a top-ranked golf course doing out here? But once you step foot on property, you realize that Sagebrush is made to be a golfer's paradise. They've got a huge practice putting green. They've got a chipping area, bunkers. They've got a mini par 3 course, a pitch and putt course to warm up on. So no driving range, but they've got nets there and every other thing that you can imagine. Plus, they've got these stay and play cabins or cottages or buildings of some sort here that you can stay in, so your foursome can stay and play for several days, which of course you're going to want to do because, well, frankly, it's one of the best golf courses that I've ever played. But you definitely want to get there early, so you got time to play the pitch and putt, you've got time to practice putting, chipping, and I mean the conditions are just immaculate. Not a bad way to start the day. So one of the wonderful things about a good practice facility, and it's hard to find a good practice facility, this is a good practice facility. I'm at the chipping area right now, and what you see is a whole bunch of different grass types, distances, bunker. The greens are in beautiful shape. Like, look at these things. Look at this. I'm just gonna roll a ball by. Ooh, that is lovely. You can see here in the distance, by the chipping green, there's downhill lies, there's side hill lies, there's uphill lies, there's a dip over here. You can pitch over those grasses there to a short pin, a medium pin, a long pin, and then there's, I mean, acres, acres of putting green here. We got the clubhouse up to the left. You can bump and run, you can hit pitch shots, you can roll them up. You can hit long bunker shots, short bunker shots, all the shots that you're ever going to see on a golf course, you're going to be able to practice on a good practice facility. So come the 90 minutes early for your tee time. You're going to want to use it to practice chipping, putting. Oh, it's lovely. I'm in heaven right now. This might be the best practice facility I have seen in a long time. Wow, fantastic. And that brings you to the first tee, which just happens to be this uphill long par 5 up into the mountainside with bunkers just kind of shaved into the fairway there, which I happened to find on my trek through the first hole. And the greens, I mean, they don't
They don't get any better than this. Now, one of the things that surprised me was for a 7,300 plus yard golf course, you didn't hit driver all that often. There's a lot of these little holes where you've got runways and chutes where if you keep it in the fairway, it runs an extra 20 or 30 or 40 yards down a hill, but you gotta hit it accurately. So even though you might have a 420, 430 yard hole, it effectively turns into a 370 yard hole if you hit the fairway. Now that's assuming that you hit the fairway, because of course if you hit it into the sage bushes, it's not going to go well for you. But as long as you've got some accuracy off the tee, it's perfectly fine being 7,200 plus yards. Except for a couple of holes like this par 5 that really stretches out. And then you get to the green and it's like,
I mean, just look at the size of this green.
Like some of these green complexes are just huge. Which brings me to one complaint that I have about the course. And as far as I'm concerned, this was the only complaint that I had on my otherwise perfect day. And that is the GPS yardage markers in the cart didn't measure to the pin, they measured to the center of the green, which is absolutely fine if you've got smaller green complexes or you've got colored flags where you can see front, middle, back. But some of these greens were 50 yards long. So if I didn't know how far it was back to the back pin or to the front pin, and you can't really see a lot, there's a lot of elevated greens, and so you can't quite see where on the green that pin is. So if you didn't have a radar in your bag, you were really at a disadvantage because the cart yardages just weren't accurate enough, because hitting to the center of the green, you might still have a 60-foot putt to the hole. So the 2 9s on the golf course don't bring you back to the clubhouse. They do something a little bit more unique. They bring you back to the hideout. And what's at the hideout? Food and fishing, which is something I've never experienced on a golf course. A fully stocked trout pond at the back of the golf course. If you like fishing and golf, well, you can stop and cast a line or two, and hey, maybe you can catch a fish. And then when you're done at the hideout, you've had your snacks, you've had your fishing, the next hole is, well, I don't want to say make it or break it, because you could lay up, but I mean, who's laying up at this point? You can hit a driver down here, and you can drive this short par 4 off the elevated tee, but of course if you miss, you're in some bad shape. But each of the holes is uniquely designed and feels like its own out there, and they space the tee times out enough where you don't really ever feel pushed or rushed. You're just out there to play a game of golf. Then there's this blind par 5, which is like 6,500 million yards. It was a lot of golfing to get to the hole. And fortunately I made a putt, but just absolutely wonderful. You get to hit little stinger 2 irons. If the wind picks up, it really brings the challenge up. You get to hit long drives and irons off the tee, and you get to hit wedges into greens, and you're really exercising your whole golf bag as you play this round of golf. As you get towards the end of the round, it doesn't let off. There's beautiful holes right up to the end, and frankly, you're really sad actually when you get to the 18th hole, because that means that your round is done for the day. I never like my round being done for the day, and I can tell you that on this occasion I really didn't like my round being done for the day. So after 18 holes at Sagebrush, was it worth the $263 price tag? Absolutely. I would pay it again in a heartbeat. Here's why. You see, you're not just buying 18 holes of golf. You're buying the peace, the space, and frankly, one of the best golf experiences that you're ever going to have. I mean, you can even go trout fishing halfway through the round. You feel like you're on your own, you're playing perfect conditions, and you're asking yourself the entire way around, how is this place even here? Why is it out here in the middle of nowhere? but I'm so thankful that it is. You realize it's not just about the price tag. It's about the once-in-a-lifetime golfing experience that you get every time you tee it up here. I will be back, and my wallet won't be arguing with me.